It is the role of network administrators and security specialists to identify possible weaknesses in a network's defenses and try to correct them. Thankfully, there is a lot we can do in order to secure ourselves from cybersecurity threats and stopping hackers gaining access to our data. A penetration test is where a cyber attack is simulated against a computer system or network to identify vulnerabilities that could be exploited by a malicious attacker. So basically, you pretend to be a hacker and deliberately try to break into a network or system, but with permission. A white hat hacker is a term used for someone who specializes in performing penetration testing for organizations. Another term is a pen tester. The penetration test will cover all areas where threats can arise, just like we've learnt previously. The pen tester may send out a phishing email to try and trick people into revealing their password. They might perform a brute force attack to try and log in, or they might see if they can install some spyware to gather passwords. Really, any technique a hacker might try, the pen tester will do the same. Typically, the type of penetration test performed can fall into two categories. White box penetration testing. This is where the pen tester acts as someone from within the business that has a malicious intent, e.g. a disgruntled employee who has a knowledge of the processes of the business and likely some credentials for the target system, e.g. they might have a user account with some basic permissions. And black box penetration testing. This is where the pen tester acts as someone from outside the business, e.g. an external hacking or cyber warfare attack, where they have no knowledge of the business processes or credentials for the target system. The idea being that this penetration tester will find all of the existing weaknesses in a business's IT systems, and this will allow the business to implement corrective measures to protect against this in future. Anti-malware is software running on your computer that checks for various kinds of malware, including viruses and spyware. For malware to be detected, the software needs to scan your computer. This can be done on demand, but is usually scheduled to run regularly, at least once per day. Some anti-malware programs will run automatically whenever you download or open a file. This is known as real-time protection. The malware scan will then stop harmful programs being installed, stop viruses modifying or deleting files. Any detected malware will be moved to a safe area or quarantined. Once quarantined, you have the option to delete the malware or restore it if you think it isn't actually malware. Anti-malware works through the use of malware signatures, which is a unique data pattern to each malware. We scan our programs and files looking for this signature, and when there is a match, the malware is removed. This is known as signature detection. You need to keep your malware signatures up to date to keep your system safe though. This is because new malware is released all the time, which we will need a new signature for. It can also use heuristic detection, which monitors the behavior of your computer and spots anything that is behaving like a virus. This is usually less accurate than signature detection though. Earlier in this course, we learned about authentication and how this is usually done through the use of a password. This makes a strong password one of the most fundamental methods of preventing cybersecurity threats. Remember, strong passwords will not contain a dictionary word, have uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers and symbols, and be a minimum of 10 characters in length. However, there are flaws to passwords, such as that people will often set very simple ones and they will share their passwords with others, either by being tricked into revealing it or on purpose. Biometric security is another authentication method that avoids the flaws we have with passwords. This has become very popular in recent years, with many smartphone devices having built-in fingerprint recognition and some offering facial recognition. These are the two most common forms of biometric authentication. The information is very unique to each individual and difficult to fake. This makes it generally more secure than passwords, particularly the simple passwords that many users typically choose. However, Some biometric systems are fallible, particularly mobile phones which often have shaky hand pictures and complex backgrounds. Also, if our biometric data was compromised, this would be serious as we can't change our biometric data. CAPTCHA is a technique used to check if someone entering information into a form is a human and not a computer program. There are many computer programs that are written to try and gain unauthorized access to computer systems, such as ones that will perform brute force attacks like we have learnt about in an earlier lesson. CAPTCHA typically involves displaying some letters as an image that the user has to input to confirm themselves as human. This works as a computer program cannot read text from an image as easily as humans. There are similar alternatives to this, but all involve performing an action that a computer program finds difficult but humans find easy. Email confirmations are another way to avoid the issue of computer programs entering information instead of a human. For example, to prevent nuisance attempts to register on a website. When you register for a website, a confirmation email is often sent to the email address associated with the user to confirm their identity. The user will need to click on a link in the email to confirm their registration. This technique has also been increasingly used when a user logs into their account on a new computer. For example, sometimes when you log into a website on a new device, you'll receive an email to confirm that this was in fact you. This helps to prevent unauthorized access by hackers, as they wouldn't just need your website password, but also access to your email account. As we learned in a previous lesson, unpatched software is vulnerable to attack, as there could be publicly known security bugs. Automatic software updates is typically a program installed on a computer that will regularly check whether the software has any new patches released and will download and install them automatically for you. This can be scheduled to run on a regular basis, such as daily or weekly, or alternatively it could run every time you turn on your computer or every time you start the software program related to the updater. With this, you no longer need to be worried about the software being unpatched and vulnerable to exploits, other than if the software becomes unsupported and no longer receives any updates. So, penetration testing is where you deliberately try to break into a network to find the ways in. Anti-malware programs will scan a computer looking for viruses or other forms of malware. Once found, they will stop the viruses harming files and move them to quarantine. Keeping passwords safe and secure is one important way of stopping unauthorized access to your network. Biometric authentication uses biological information like fingerprint or facial recognition to authenticate a user. CAPTCHA is a technique used to check if someone entering information into a form is a human and not a computer program. Email confirmation checks you are the authorized user by sending an email to your registered email address. Automatic software updates will regularly patch your software so you're protected from security flaws.